Hello and welcome to this week's mini session, which is all about our nervous system. And I'm presenting to you a wonderful hand model. I am the hand model, but a model, which is my hand of the brain. And Dan Siegel, who's a professor of psychiatry in the US, he created this hand model of the brain to help us become more aware of what's happening in our thoughts and our emotional reactivity and our nervous system. And what he says is that this model of our brain, which it sits exactly as it does in my head, you can sort of see sort of the front of my brain there. So we're going to have two different descriptions, very, very basic, because I'm not a professor of psychiatry. And I think it's also important that this is very relatable. So this part of our brain here is our thinking brain, and this part of our brain tucked right back in the back of your head here is our emotional brain. And in our emotional brain is a threat detection system, which is scanning our environment all the time, sensing and perceiving signs of threat to our psychological, emotional and physical well-being. Because we are such complex beings, us humans, this threat detection system often distorts that perception of threat. So it's not really a major threat. But because of our history and our memory and the trauma triggers stored in our body, it can be kind of quite active and at an unnecessary and unwarranted level of threat. So let me explain to you these three stages of activation. So first of all, this is called green state, which is an anchored and engaged and connected state of communicating and being present in the world and with another person. You're feeling confident and calm, and there's no real sign of threat to you, so you're free to express and listen and be engaged. This state here, when the threat detection alarm bell has gone off for whatever reason, is called amber, or I like to call it choppy. So I become aware that I'm just feeling a bit uncomfortable. I've been triggered, and I can feel my body tensing and maybe some heat or some dry mouth or racing heart or racing thoughts. And that is my cue to anchor myself. And I do that with my breath or with some time away. If it's happening in an environment where I can just excuse myself, get a glass of water, get a drink, make a cup of tea, have a walk, go to the bathroom, just take a break from that setting I'm in, that's creating that choppy state or amber state. This is a sign for you to slow down your thoughts and anchor your emotion with the breath. Remember, the exhaling part of the breath is the part that's going to bring your nervous system back into a calm state and give you your thinking brain back. When you're in this state, you can't really think very clearly because you're preparing to fight, flee, or freeze. So that's when you think, I can't get my thoughts together. It's understandable because your nervous system is starting to activate. It's good, isn't it? Green, amber, and then if you miss this cue, then you're going to be more exposed to the next trigger, the trigger on top of the trigger. And remember, this always happens in relationship. So you're both triggering each other now, both in that choppy state, and you're trying to get the other person to do or say something or agree with you or whatever it is, and then some harsh speech or action might result next, and then you flip your lid, you have no access to your thinking brain, and you are now in the red zone, where you are in that, quite unconscious state of emotional reactivity, trauma trigger, that your behavior is unconscious. You have rage and fury here, major hostility and anger can come out in that red zone. Pretty unpleasant. And, that's the state when we often reflect back and think, I can't believe I said that, or God, I really wasn't myself. You're not. You're not in your anchored green, engaged state. You're not living your values. You're in an unconscious state of protection and either being, aggressive and angry or hostile and withdrawing and, quite often the threat to leave a relationship happens in that space. So, hope that's helpful. Green, here's two people talking. Trigger, amber, take a break. Use your breath and come back when you're calm and clear again. Don't speak until you're calm and clear, and make sure you're listening well. If you get triggered, you must intercept that with a breath and some movement. Remember, emotion is energy in the body. So even just walking around, get a glass of water, do something that sort of moves that energy and gives you some time to calm down. And do everything you can to prevent yourself and the other person, have some care for them. If you can see the other person's in a choppy state, back off, slow down, just slow everything down. It gets very fast when you're in that, amber state. Flipping the lid. That's what that is. Choppy, red, green. Work with that. And look forward to hearing from you with any questions about it. And I will see you for the next mini session.